Hello everyone, welcome back to SportsKhabri. I'm Rahul and with me are Hiren and Arunava. Guys, of course we're here to talk about India-Australia. Ended 2-0 in favor of the Socceroos, but there was a sort of fight from the Indian side in the first half, but that sort of diminished big time in the second, and we conceded a couple of goals. The first coming from keeping error from Gurpreet Singh Sandhu, and then the second one was just I think Australia pretty much walked the ball into the net. But yeah, we've had a couple of hours to think about this, and we've had time to take and sort of look back at this performance, what we did right, what we did wrong. We still have a couple of games left in this Asian Cup, so yeah, there's a lot to discuss, guys. Welcome, Arnav. Welcome, Hiren. Arnav, coming to you first. It's been a couple of hours. I was at least emotional at the point. But have you sort of changed your opinions on what happened when we spoke a couple of hours back, or is it the same?
Good evening, everyone. On one side, I'm happy with the fighting spirit that the boys showed. You can't question any of that intent. What is hurting me tonight is this brutal reality check in that second half of where the Indian national team stands against a top nation in Asian football. The hope was that we are somewhat closing the gap. But that second half, we were totally outplayed. We didn't have a corner in the 90 minutes. We didn't have a free kick in the final third. Yes, we had that chance from Sunil, which could have changed the complexion of the game. But yeah, I mean, 2-0 is I think that's the best that could have come out of this game, if I'm very honest. That result is the best thing to happen to us because it keeps potentially our chances there for the tournament. The whole team gave a fighting performance where you can't question them. Surely we can discuss the mistake from Gurpreet, but if you are under pressure for 90 minutes, the one or the other mistake will happen. So and Gurpreet himself will be annoyed, unhappy that he did that mistake because he gave the Australians that first goal. He knows it himself. Nobody needs to tell him that. But reality check, brutal reality check. And this is something, if Kollan is saying that we've improved to 2011, I actually watched 2011, the highlights, and I watched the highlights from today. I would pick 2011 any day because there was a sort of intent. That Australian team was X times better than the team today. Right? They had Premier League stars in that team. Today, you have championship level players, Bundesliga 2 level players playing against us. Which also, where do we stand? Where could our players go and play in Europe? If we talk about Europe, talk about sending our players abroad, we're talking about third, fourth tier football. 10 years of ISL. That is, again, these are the questions that we need to ask ourselves of where do we stand? I don't say anything about the boys. The boys have given everything. My respect to that. But the question is that all stakeholders of Indian football need to ask themselves the questions tonight is, what do we want to do so that we improve? That we, in the near future, can have better performances. Because Igor Stimac was talking about the performance against Qatar. Today he will talk about the result. That's being opportunistic. We have to be, if we're not honest to ourselves, that is the thing. And if
I think we just lost Arnava there for Arnava. Sorry.
Sorry. We have to be honest to ourselves that if we want to improve, at some stage we need to get results. Losing 3-0 to Qatar, losing 2-0 to Australia, we're losing. When are we drawing? Forget drawing. When are we winning? The last time we beat a higher up ranked nation was United Arab Emirates in 2001.
Yeah.
So, that's the brutal reality which is hurting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right, Anu. I think in a lot of ways it's hurt a lot of fans, and it'll take time for people to sort of digest this loss. And I know there are people saying it is a good result, but again, I think a loss is a loss. At least for me, I see it like that. I think I still feel bad when we lose. I want to see my team win. That's why you play sport. That's why you watch football, right? I mean, I started playing because I wanted to win. I started watching football because I want to see my team winning. So I don't think, yeah, there are positives, of course, that we'll take from this game for sure. But I think at the end of the day, a loss is a loss, and we take it like that. Hiren, but anyways, this is the team that we have, and these are the boys who are going to come up against Uzbekistan and against Syria. And like Arnav said, we're not out of the competition. We're still in it. We're very much sort of fighting for our place in the knockout still. So what do you want to sort of take away from this game? What players are you looking at? I see people in the chat mentioning Deepak Tangri, who we were also praising during the watch along. So what are the positives that you're taking from this game? We have a couple more left.
First of all, hello to everyone, and I will talk about the things जो एक्चुअल मैच में हुई है एंड जो हमने एक्सपेक्ट की थी, तो आई थिंक ज़्यादा बेटर तरीके से हम जज कर पाएंगे. ऑब्वियसली 2-0 रिजल्ट, आई थिंक एनी डे गेम प्ले के अलावा या फिर कैसा परफॉर्मेंस किया पुट असाइड, आई थिंक इस कंपटीशन में बने रहने के लिए आपको जो जरूरी था उसको कहीं ना कहीं आपने एक आपकी होप जो राउंड ऑफ 16 में जैसे सर ने बोला आई थिंक बनाए रखने के लिए जरूरी था, वो यहाँ पे हुआ. इगोस्टिमिक की जो टैक्टिक्स थी आई थिंक उसके बारे में अगर बात करें तो कंप्लीटली उन्होंने जो मतलब प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में या फिर पिछले कुछ दिनों से वो बोलते आ रहे थे कि भाई हम यहाँ पे सिट बैक नहीं करने वाले, बट इवेंचुअली वी डिड सिट बैक थ्रू आउट द मैच. जैसे हमने देखा कि आई थिंक वो सुनील सर के चांस के अलावा हमने पूरे मैच में ऐसा कोई चांस नहीं बनाया, जीरो कॉर्नर, जीरो फाइनल टच जैसे सर ने बोला. तो दैट शोज कि हम पूरा डिफेंसिव परफॉर्मेंस किए थे. डिफेंसिव वाइज आई हैव यू कैन से पर्टिकुलरली फर्स्ट 45 मिनट में मेरे को कोई कंप्लेन नहीं है. आई थिंक वी डिड एवरीथिंग जो हमारे प्लेयरों की कैपेबिलिटीज है उस हिसाब से. अब ऑस्ट्रेलिया के प्लेयरों की फिनिशिंग बेकार रही हो रही हो उनका प्रॉब्लम, वो हमारा प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, लेकिन हमारे प्लेयरों की जो कैपेबिलिटीज थी उस हिसाब से उन्होंने आई थिंक अपने शेप भी अच्छा तरीके से फर्स्ट हाफ में मेंटेन किया था. डिफेंसिव वाइज दे वर सॉलिड, पर्टिकुलरली फर्स्ट 30 मिनट तो बढ़िया ही थे. सेकंड हाफ आई वुड से कि हमारी परफॉर्मेंस डिटोरिएट हुई, एंड जो कि काफी लंबे टाइम से मतलब अगर आप पिछले साल के भी जितने भी क्वालिटी साइड के सामने अगर परफॉर्मेंस देखेंगे तो देखा है कि इंडिया जनरली 45 टू 50 मिनट तक अच्छा खेलती है एंड सेकंड हाफ में हम यहाँ पे गोल कंसीड कर जाते हैं, जो कि आज भी सेम ही चीज हमें देखने को मिली. सो आई थिंक वहां पे क्वेश्चन आता है आपकी इम्प्रूवमेंट का. एंड प्लेयरों वाइज आई थिंक दीपक टांगरे ने सबसे ज्यादा इंप्रेस किया. उसका जो डिसीजन था उसको स्टार्टिंग 11 में डालना, आई थिंक वो कहीं ना कहीं यहाँ पे एटलीस्ट फर्स्ट हाफ में तो राइट साबित हुआ. तो दैट्स अ प्रोमिसिंग प्लेयर जो कि यहाँ पे अच्छा डिफेंसिवली क्वालिटी साइड के सामने परफॉर्मेंस पुट अप कर पाया. संदेश जिंगान आई थिंक फॉर मी इज माय मैन ऑफ द मैच टू बी ऑनेस्ट फ्रॉम इंडिया साइड. आई थिंक जिस तरह का कैरेक्टर, जिस तरह की सेकंड हाफ में भी उसकी परफॉर्मेंस रही, आई थिंक ही इज बीन एब्सोल्युटली ब्रिलियंट. अटैकिंग वाइज चांस थे मेरे को फर्स्ट हाफ में बढ़िया लगे, सो दैट्स अ गुड थिंग. अपुया मेरे को ओके लगे, मतलब जो एक्सपेक्टेशन मेरी अपुया से थी उस हिसाब से वो अभी तक नहीं कर पाए, बट आई थिंक ठीक है. उसके अलावा आई थिंक सुभाषिस बोस, राहुल बेके फर्स्ट हाफ में गुड अच्छे खेले. सो आई थिंक प्लेयरों की कैपेबिलिटीज के हिसाब से देखें तो आई थिंक दे हैव पुट अप देयर एवरीथिंग, एंड उस हिसाब से हमें बेहतरीन देखने को मिले. सब्स्टिट्यूशन कुछ हमारे बेटर हो सकते थे आई थिंक सेकंड हाफ में, और मैं आई थिंक इगोस्टेमिक ने फिर से एक जो आई थिंक किंग्स कप में भी जो गलती उसने की थी अगेंस्ट इराक एंड लेबनान, आई थिंक सेम गलती हमें यहाँ पे देखने को मिल रही है कि सब्स्टिट्यूशन थोड़े से लेट हुए. आई थिंक ऑस्ट्रेलिया वर मोर यू कैन से कि सेकंड हाफ गेम मैनेजमेंट क्या बोलूंगा कि ग्रेहाम आर्नोल्ड का बेटर था ईगो स्टिमेज से. आई थिंक स्टिमेज यहाँ पे और जो भी सब्स्टिट्यूशन हुए उतना ज्यादा मेरे को नहीं लगता कि उन सब्स्टिट्यूशन ने यहाँ पे इम्पैक्ट डाल पाए टू बी ऑनेस्ट आफ्टर दी सब्स्टिट्यूशन, क्योंकि आप ऑलरेडी 2-0 डाउन थे एंड सारे सब्स्टिट्यूशन आपने अटैकिंग सब्स्टिट्यूशन किए, लेकिन आपने फिर भी एक भी चांस नहीं बना पाया. आप अपने सारे अटैकिंग सब्स्टिट्यूशन करने के बावजूद भी आप एक भी चांस नहीं बना पाए. आपने सुरेश को हटा के वहां पे लिस्टन कोलासो को डालने की कोशिश की, 4 मैन अटैक के साथ आप गए, फिर भी आपके पास बॉल ही नहीं आ रही थी. तो आई थिंक वो कहीं ना कहीं बैकफायर कर गया, बट आई एम रियली रियली हैप्पी विद द रिजल्ट, एंड हमारी जो होप है फॉर राउंड ऑफ 16 वो भी अलाइव है. सो लेट्स सी.
I know Vinny saying Rahul Beke was top today. There are a couple of other guys who were good and we were praising. Any sort of standouts for you in this game from the Indian side?
I think one player that many would have not put in their starting 11, that's Deepak Tangri. I think that
Yeah.
Deepak Tangri, who has been injured, has had extended injury problems, who was given a hard job to block that midfield, which worked in the first half. But one has to be honest, Jackson Irvine, the captain of the Australians, really took the game under his control and scored the first one. That was sort of a thing. Sunil had a great chance in the first half. But again, for Sunil to try and create something up front with no support at all is very difficult. I think, as you've mentioned, Changte was good in the first half, tried certain things. But even Changte and Manvir were defending in the second half. Sometimes we were 6 men at the back. So that was sort of our biggest problem, that we are falling so far back. It's sort of who's going to create things. That's why you had this situation where Liston could have played it wide. Tried a 40-yard, 25-yard shot, right? If we go that. Apuya had a tough afternoon because he had to do a lot of defensive work. That's why Apuya had no opportunities sort of to create something like he did against Kuwait or against Qatar. He had no chance on that front. If I go further back, Shubhashish Bose had a good game, blocked Boyle quite a number of times. Rahul Beke, respect. A lot of people have criticized Rahul Beke in the past, but as a centre back, which is not his natural position, has done well in the 3 games for India that he's been playing in that position. Sandesh Jingan is a legend. Sandesh today getting a cut, fighting it out, putting his body always on the line. And Nikhil Pujari, that was a lesson. To play in that position for Nikhil Pujari was not easy. I mean, to play against Craig Goodwin, who is a top Asian level player, and you saw Craig Goodwin needed about 20-25 minutes. Then he got his bearings on, putting in the crosses. And again, Gurpreet had two mistakes. The first one, he was lucky that the Australians couldn't finish it off. The second one could have done better. But if you're under pressure for 90 minutes, everyone's going to make mistakes. And
but sir, ये एक चीज हमने जो प्रीव्यू में भी डिस्कस की थी कि अगर आप फुल ऑन 90 मिनट डिफेंसिव प्लान लेके जाते हो, जो कि आज हमें मैच में देखने को मिला कि इंडिया का प्लान था कि डिफेंसिव ही जाना है, स्टार्टिंग 11 से भी वो पता लग गया था. सो मतलब वो तो एक्सपेक्टेड ही था कि सामने क्वालिटी साइड है तो एक आध 2 चांस उसको मिलने हैं, दे विल इवेंचुअली फिनिश. सो आई थिंक उसमें मतलब गुरप्रीत डेफिनेटली बोल सकते हैं कि अच्छा कर सकते थे, लेकिन आई थिंक वो हमारे प्लेयरों की जिस तरह की क्वालिटी आप उससे अगर एक्सपेक्ट करोगे कि 90 मिनट आप पूरा सिर बैक करके डिफेंड करो, तो क्वालिटी साइड के सामने तो वो मुश्किल ही है. मतलब आपके लेवल की टीमों के सामने शायद आप निकाल लो गेम, या फिर आपसे थोड़ी सी हायर रैंक टीम है उनके सामने निकाल लो, बट जहां पे क्वालिटी आती है वहां पे तो इवेंचुअली आपको कंसीड कर ही जाओगे. मतलब एक आध मिस्टेक तो होगी, एंड इवेंचुअली वो भी मतलब फुल मिस्टेक नहीं थी. जो पहला गोल हमने कंसीड किया, उसने पार्शियली उसको क्या बोलते कि क्लियर करने की कोशिश की, लेकिन पूरी तरीके से क्लियर नहीं हो पाया और सीधा इरविन जैक्सन के पास चला गया.
Again, but that's the thing. When you put constant pressure in that second half, it was consistent pressure. We were not getting out in that first 20 minutes of the second half. It was all in the final third of the Australians. It was in our defensive third. And at some stage, you are going to commit a mistake. And we 28 chances to the Australian overall, only 6 on target. That tells you the story. All that we're talking about, if the Australians were clinical, if a Yunmin Son is there, or if you've got the Japanese in there, I don't know what the result would have been today. That's what I'm saying. That is hurting today, because the hope was we will show today that we have improved, that we are, maybe even one small step closer to the best teams in Asia. Today, we just proved that we're still as far away as we were before this game. After the game, I felt we were even further away from the top in Asia. Because and this is something this season where we've got, again, Mumbai City against Nafbahar, Mumbai City against Al Hilal. We've been outplayed. Even our club sides with foreigners were outplayed. And that is the realization that I have in my head. That's why I'm disappointed. Despite, I want India to be able to compete at this level. Maybe I'm being unrealistic at the moment, but this is what I would like to see us do. But for that,
नहीं
the whole
नहीं
system, and we were not there.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I'm not expecting possession football. Again, we need to be smart with our football. This is what we did in the first
फुटबॉल
15 minutes. We showed that in the first 15 minutes. We were putting those needles. Changte was doing a very, very good job on that flank. Even, again, that Sunil chance. But the longer the match lasted, you saw that with the Australians. The Australians were like, the goal will come.
कम
And this is something which I feel is worrying, that the standard is so much higher than where we are. And that's a reality. And Dark Knight is asking if India has improved, Australia has declined. Australia has not declined. Australia's talent base is not as good as it was. They had their golden generation in 2011. That's the
11
that's the reality. And for me, Uzbekistan, I feel, is a stronger, tougher opponent than Australia, because they will play a football with which we have faced our problems. Look at the way we faced problems against Malaysia. They like to play with the ball. They don't want to square the ball and pass the ball. No, they'll try and combine and work their way through. And with that, that's the reality.
Yep. Yep. Surjeet Singh, Australia had six on target, scored to 33% conversion rate. The fact that we kept shots on target to 6 is a huge testament to the progress. I don't quite agree, because it was not so much us keeping them out as much as them really being poor in front of goal.
They
right?
were wayward.
Yeah,
28
awful.
chances. Again, it's also about reading the statistics properly. 28 chances, only 6 on target. That's a poor piece of stat. You're just above 20% on target. So that
नहीं
is something.
एक सर
Yeah, बताओ.
एक चीज एक जो पोजीशन पे भी जो लोग बोल रहे कि हम पोजीशन रखना भी नहीं है हमें पोजीशन। जापान का परफेक्ट एग्जांपल है, जर्मनी स्पेन वाला। आप भले ही 25% पोजीशन रखो, लेकिन वो 25% में आपका ऐसा गेम प्ले होना चाहिए कि आप ओपोजिशन के फाइनल थर्ड में चांस क्रिएट कर रहे होने चाहिए। आप वो 25% पोजीशन सिर्फ आपके गोलकीपर से आपका डिफेंडर के बीच में बॉल घूम रहा है और वो 25% हो रहा है, तो उसका कोई वैल्यू नहीं है। सिंपल सा कहने का मतलब ये है कि आप भले ही आपका क्या बोलते हैं पोजीशन बेस्ड फुटबॉल ना खेल पाओ, लेकिन ओपोनेंट के सामने आप चांसेस को क्रिएट करो। पूरे मैच में अगर आप देखेंगे तो हमने सिर्फ एक वो सुनील छेत्री वाला चांस ही बनाया है, अदर देन दैट वी डिडंट क्रिएटेड एनी चांसेस। तो वो मेन फैक्टर है कि वो हमें क्या बोलते कि हम देखना चाहते थे। सिंपल सी बात वो है। बाकी भाई ऑस्ट्रेलिया इज अ क्वालिटी साइड, डेफिनेटली वो यहाँ पे फेवरेट है, वो सारी चीजें है। लेकिन इंडिया का अगर हम काफी सारे लोग और काफी सारे फैंस ही बोल रहे थे कि हम कर सकते हैं, वो कब कर सकते थे? जब आप ये जो गेम प्लान है इसमें 25% पोजीशन पे आप फाइनल थर्ड में उनके पहुंच पाते, तब जो आप बोल रहे थे ना कि ड्रॉ कर सकते हैं, जो भी कर सकते हैं, वो तब होता भाई। अदरवाइज हमको भी पता था कि आप प्रॉपर 90 मिनट डिफेंडिंग करने जाओगे, यू विल गोना कंसीड, क्योंकि आपके प्लेयरों की वो अभी एबिलिटी नहीं है कि वो 90 मिनट यहाँ पे सेम इंटेंसिटी के साथ, सेम फोकस के साथ, विदाउट एनी एरर डिफेंड कर पाएंगे। चाहे कितना भी बेस्ट प्लेयर हो, संदेश जिंगान भी एरर कर देता, मैं ऐसा नहीं बोल रहा कि वो भी नहीं कर पाता। आपका एक भी प्लेयर ऐसा नहीं है कि जो 90 मिनट क्वालिटी साइड के सामने इतनी इंटेंसिटी के साथ यहाँ पे डिफेंड कर पाए। तो बात वो है।
The problem was also is that when the Australians brought on the substitutes, I mean, 2 substitutes combined to score the second goal, right?
Second goal, yes.
And I also did not understand our substitutions. We talked a lot about Nikhil. The question is, Shubhashish Bose was playing a good game. Why am I taking him off? Because I've not read, I am bringing in Liston Colasso as a 10. Is Brandon not fit? Because Brandon is more fit. Liston is more of a winger. So we can, and too late. I thought 60 to 65. That's the first substitutions we need to make. And the question is, our luck is that our players have 5 days between matches. That it's not like 3 days and then, we've got 2 days break and then you have to play another game. So that's good. We've got 4 days of break until the 18th to play the Uzbeks. yeah, this is a game like this sucks the life out of you.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very important point. Given what the players have sort of given into this game, um,
Hmm.
what do you think it's we're going to see at least the sort of intensity that we saw in the first half in the coming games because of the sort of intensity the effort that these guys had to put in for this game here in.
आई थिंक डेफिनेटली आई थिंक बिकॉज इस सीजन हमें देखने को मिला है कि हमारे प्लेयर लगातार एवरी वीकेंड वीकआउट खेल रहे हैं सो आई थिंक थोड़ा सा तो यूज टू हुए हैं मोस्ट ऑफ दी जो प्लेयर है सो आई थिंक डेफिनेटली बट आई थिंक बैक टू बैक अगेंस्ट क्वालिटी साइड इट इज गोइंग टू बी डिफिकल्ट नो डाउट अबाउट दैट एंड आई थिंक यही एक सबसे बड़ा रिस्क भी था जो हमने हम लोग काफी लंबे टाइम से जब भी हम एशियन कप की बात करते थे कि फर्स्ट टू मैचेस अगेंस्ट ऑस्ट्रेलिया एंड उज्बेकिस्तान आपके लिए इस हिसाब से भी डिजास्टर हो सकते हैं कि आप पूरे बर्न आउट हो जाओ और सीरिया के सामने आप उस इंटेंसिटी के साथ में भी ना खेल पाओ सो आई थिंक दैट्स वन ऑफ द फैक्टर जो यहाँ पे डेफिनेटली आ सकता है बट आई थिंक उज्बेकिस्तान के सामने आई थिंक भी हमारा काफी ज्यादा टेस्ट होने वाला है लेट्स सी यहाँ पे जो टेक्टिक्स है वो वहां पे क्या रहती है दूसरा आई थिंक ऑस्ट्रेलिया के सामने मतलब 90 मिनट हमने खेला आई थिंक सब्स्टिट्यूशन की सर ने बात की सब्स्टिट्यूशन मेरे को भी लगा इगो स्टिमिच बोल रहे कि भाई सेकंड गोल में सुभाशिष बोस की गलती थी बट आपको भाई तो आकाश मिश्र को अगर आपको लेफ्ट बैक में लाना था तो भाई 10 मिनट अर्ली डाल देते थे भाई क्योंकि
No,
क्लियरली वहां पे
but it's not just Bose. If you look at the whole line of defenders, Shubhashish is the first one who does a mistake. Then you have two,
जी
three
हाँ
players in the middle could have blocked the ball. Even Gurpreet doesn't
बोल
get to the ball. Manveer is not on the man, and the man just simply scores the goal. It happens, and then it's a line of sort of, if you want to make it, it's a line of mistakes. But these are the things that will happen if you are forced to defend for 90 minutes, or not. Let's say not 90, for 85 minutes, because this is an intensity and a level that our players normally do not play.
प्ले
Right? And that is the thing. We are lucky the Australians, after 70, 75 minutes, reduce the tempo.
हाँ टोटली बट आई थिंक एक चीज सर इससे पता चलती है एंड आई थिंक अब ये अगर एएफएफ को और उन सबको भी सीरियसली मेरे हिसाब से तो लेना चाहिए आई थिंक आपके कैप्टन ने बोल दिया है इस गेम ने भी प्रूव कर दिया है कि आपको अगर यहाँ से इस तरह के मैचेस में और ज्यादा बेटर करना है यू नीड टू प्ले दिस काइंड ऑफ मैचेस रेगुलरली नाउ इट्स नॉट टाइम कि आप वानुआतु मंगोलिया जैसी अब टीमों के सामने खेलने का बिल्कुल भी सेंस बनाता है आई थिंक चाहे आप भले ही 5-0 से आ जाओ फ्रेंडली लेकिन आई वुड प्रीफर टू प्ले इन सच अ काइंड ऑफ मैचेस कि आपके प्लेयर को एटलीस्ट एक आइडिया मिले कि हाँ भाई आपको इस लेवल पे पहुंचना है और क्या आपको जरूरत है एंड ये चीजें तभी आएगी जब आप रेगुलरली इस तरह के मैचेस खेलोगे तभी जाके जो आप बोल रहे हो ना कि भाई 85 मिनट तक इस तरह से डिफेंड करना आपकी होनी ही होनी है गलती और ऐसा सिचुएशन बनना ही बनना है तो जब तक प्लेयर उस तरह की कंडीशन में उस तरह के मैचेस खेलेंगे नहीं आई डोंट थिंक सो कि वो आइडिया मिलने वाला है मतलब ये ऐसा ही हो जाएगा कि हम लोअर रैंक टीमों के सामने खेलते रह जाएंगे फिर नेक्स्ट एफसी एशियन कप में कोई टफ ओपोनेंट आएगा और फिर हम बोलेंगे कि यहाँ पे फाइट हमने अच्छी पुटअप की हम 1-0 से 2-0 से हारे बट आई वांट टू सी कि 2-0 से हम ऐसा भी होना चाहिए कि 2-1 का स्कोर लाइन होता हुआ देखना है फिर 2-2 का देखना है देन हम एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं आई थिंक स्टेप बाय स्टेप आगे तभी बढ़ सकते हैं आई थिंक अब से आई थिंक एक एक हमें वो करना चाहिए कि कैसा भी फ्रेंडली हम खेले आई थिंक इट्स ऑलवेज टू बी हायर ओपोनेंट
Yeah, guys. But the question is again: will top Asian sides want to play us?
We have to make it possible. China wanted to play us before the Asian Cup. We didn't agree to that. That would have been a good test. I mean, China at the moment, the match is still on against Tajikistan. It's goalless. Tajikistan is better than China at the moment, and we would have said Tajikistan is of our level, right? So therefore, yeah. And again, yes, your undisputed saying Jeekson has an important role in steam match tactics. Again, Deepak Tangri did that role right. I think that is not our problem. Our problem is our intent of creating attacking opportunities for us. Putting our wingers were de facto a right back and a left back towards the end. So our thing is, we for us, if we've learned something is that we need to be ready to win against Afghanistan and against Kuwait to get into that third round of World Cup qualifiers. So we get those tough matches against at least 2 or 3 sort of, top level Asian sides. We will hopefully then get 6 matches, which we normally wouldn't in a competitive environment. We need that. We need competitive matches against higher level to see where we stand and also be honest. Again, that's my only thing about today, is that my hope was we were a little further down our development, and this reality check and whatever the results also against the Uzbeks is, that second half has shown you where we stand. These were our, at the moment, the best players available. So that's the, that's the reality. I am happy with the fighting spirit. I know the boys have given everything, but that everything is not good enough to compete with the best in Asia. That is the realization that is hurting today, at least hurting me.
Yeah. Undisputed us. Thoughts on Igor's late substitution, guys? We've already discussed it. I think it did come a little late. Probably when you go 1-0 down, I think that's at least when you have to make the subs because you're a goal down. But anyways, yeah. I
mean, people are talking about the body language. What did I miss about the body language? When the Australians had those 5 chances in 3 seconds, was the body language positive? We were literally throwing our bodies and hoping the ball doesn't go in and we don't touch it wrongly with the hand and we don't concede a penalty.
Yeah.
Guys, I mean, we get out of La La Land, get into reality. Because we are lying to ourselves. This is not criticism, this is reality. We need to try and do our best. Uzbekistan, to me, is going to be a much tougher opponent. We have seen Mohun Bagan has struggled. Mumbai City has struggled against Uzbek sides. And they have their boys who play in Russia and Europe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, prep times. How many prep time? And we didn't have this player. That every team has that problem. There are players coming from Europe and the next day playing. I mean, not in Asia, but Africa. Think Onana is playing on the 14th for Man United. On the 15th, he's playing for Cameroon. I mean, he's a goalkeeper. But that is crazy enough. So, what would, even a week more, what would have that changed? Would have changed anything? Would we have had at least one attack in the second half because we trained a week more? It's not about training. It's about teaching our kids the right thing to be able to, that we are able to compete at this level. We need to produce better quality footballers. That's, I think, the summary of this. And not hope that something will happen or here or there. We need to, if we want to get results, if we need results, things need to happen and we need to start at the grassroots level. But if we even start today at the grassroots level, the result will come in 15 years. It will not come tomorrow. Where is our proper youth structure? Post-COVID, our youth structure is non-existent. Coaching, better quality coaching at youth level. That the kids learn the right things.
Yep. Guys, also just quick update on the China-Tajikistan game. It's ended 0-0 after a sort of controversial goal that was disallowed for China. But yeah, that's that. Hiren, now of course we move to Uzbekistan. That's the next game. Football is football, and at the end of the day, we will all have hope even when we go into that game. At least I will, because that's just the funny way that this game has. And yeah, what are your expectations going into this Uzbekistan game after this
आई
defeat?
थिंक डेफिनेटली मतलब एज ए फैन कोई भी मैच जब आप हारते हो चाहे कितनी भी बड़ी टीम से खेल रहे हो पता ही था मतलब आई थिंक हर किसी को पता था कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया के सामने मारने वाले हैं। फिर भी मतलब हमें एक एक्सपेक्टेशन होती है कि भाई कुछ कर लेंगे और फिर हारते हैं तो थोड़ा सा दुख होता है। तो दैट्स दी पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ द फुटबॉल फैन और एनी स्पोर्ट फैन। सो उसमें कोई वाली चीज नहीं है। डेफिनेटली आई थिंक सेम उत्साह और सेम उम्मीद के साथ ही फिर से हम उज्बेकिस्तान के सामने भी एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे कि हमारी टीम भाई अच्छा करे। एंड मे बी ड्रॉ, आई थिंक ड्रॉ वुड बी अ परफेक्ट रिजल्ट आपकी राउंड ऑफ 16 की होप को अलाइव रखने के लिए। एंड अगर हारते भी है तो आई थिंक आई वुड प्रीफर टू लूज बाय 1-0 और ऐसी मार्जिन, ताकि सीरिया के सामने कुछ चांस है, बट एनीथिंग कैन हैपन। So I think it will be a tough challenge without a doubt. Uzbekistan is the real underdog for this tournament. उसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है। जिस तरह का उन्होंने फुटबॉल 2023 में खेला है एंड रिसेंट पास्ट के जो ईयर्स है, उस तरह में जिस तरह से उनकी डेवलपमेंट हुई, टफ चैलेंज रहने वाला है। बट आई थिंक लेट्स सी हाउ आवर बॉयज विल रिकवर। एंड आई एम टू बी ऑनेस्ट होपफुल कि चलो कुछ अच्छा हो जाएगा फिर से। मतलब एज अ फैन आई थिंक वो रहता ही है, तो लेट होप सो कि एक अच्छी फाइट पुट अप करें।
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people again mentioning OCIs and PIOs. We've spoken about this until there's something that really happens. We can't. What's the point of even talking about it? Because yeah, it doesn't really matter at this point. At this point in time, you're going to get the players that you have in India, and we need to work around them. And unless the government actually does something about it, OCI POIs, we'll just have to wait for it. Yeah, Arnava, going into Uzbekistan, you said that the Uzbek challenge would probably be tougher than what we faced against Australia, which seems reasonable after today's performance that the Aussies sort of put out, because at halftime it did really look like this was an Aussie side that was there for the taking. So, what sort of challenge will Uzbekistan provide next game?
I think the Uzbek approach to the game is a little different. They will not play these sort of high ball, long ball, square passes, and they will try to keep the ball on the ground. They
Mm-hmm.
will try to play their way through our lines, and that is something which we've struggled in. If you look at recent matches, whenever teams have tried to play through us, and even the second goal, for example, is a good example, right? The Aussies didn't actually go the high ball; they actually played it through and then squared it in the box, and there was someone in the second post and scored the goal. Uh, so from that perspective, that is that. Second point is, of course, what does Uzbekistan do against Syria tonight? That's going to be, Uzbekistan have been sort of the chokers of this competition, where they've been seen as dark horses in the past as well, but have never really, where they could have gone far in tournaments. So we will regroup. I hope no one has picked up an injury from the starting 11. I think that's a very important one, and that they have enough time to physically also come back, because they'll have to put up another fight. I think that's very, very important to remember. We'll have to put up another fight against Uzbekistan, and we need another performance, ideally over 90 minutes like we did in the first half. I think that's very, very important. If we can try and do a little bit more in attacking unit, have a little bit more confidence also in that, at least try and create the one or the other corner. So, maybe a Sandesh can come up, something with Sunil. We need to try and get Sunil more into the game also. Sunil was sort of a little cut off up front. Sunil was doing, a lot of legwork up front, but it wasn't helping. Sunil was actually the guy who very often was clearing with his headers corners. Again, that's going to be very, very important, that we allow less dead ball situations. And, let's see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Hiren, any changes that you would sort of look at going into this game?
आई थिंक लेट्स सी, जैसे सर ने बोला कि प्लेयर किस तरह से रिकवर करते हैं, एंड आफ्टर दैट आई थिंक मे भी ज्यादा पता चल पाएगा कि किस तरह की यहाँ पे ईगोस की मैच की जो प्लानिंग है वो रहती है फॉर द उज्बेकिस्तान।
No, but let's say that everyone's fit and everyone's recovered well. Would you change anything about the starting 11?
नॉट मच चेंजेस टू बी ऑनेस्ट। आई थिंक थोड़ा सा अगर अटैकिंग जाना है, सेम मे बी आई थिंक आप क्या बोलते हैं, सुरेश वांगजाम की जगह पे आप थापा या फिर ब्रेंडन की ओर से स्टार्ट कर सकते हो। अदर देन दैट आई डोंट सी टू मेनी चेंजेस।
I don't know. Number 10 is something that you would consider going into this.
Could be a thought, but the question is that Suresh was doing a good job in dropping back and becoming the third man in that, holding sixth position. So I think that is the value that he adds. Maybe Thapa might be an option, and if that, I hope Deepak Tangri has still more gas in his tank, because he looked quite finished towards the end. That boy, what a performance! A fighting performance from him. And therefore, I hope that he's going to be there. And let's see what Igor does. I mean, this team deserves another 45 in the sense against Uzbekistan, because I don't see what is the change that could affect that change that you're wanting to make, because I have to keep my defensive unit together. That was my concern in that second 45. My attacking unit didn't exist, but my defensive unit is going to be how do we try to block it out? So that's the challenge. It's how do we balance also defensive work and attacking work? That's the tricky one. And again, let's see what Uzbekistan do. They'll be playing in less than an hour against Syria, and that will be interesting to see.
Yeah, a lot of people in the chat are suggesting Brandon and Thapa. Hiren, Brandon do you think he's an option? Again, work rate is question. If you play Uzbekistan on top side, you'd want sort of maximum effort first, right?
I think that is the one thing that why I don't prefer to go with the Brandon because of his work rate. I think defensively आपको उतना ज़्यादा वो नहीं दे पाएगा, and that's why maybe थापा यहाँ पे आ सकते हैं. But अगर थोड़ा सा अटैकिंग जाना है, then I think वही एक पोजीशन है कि जहाँ से आप जा सकते हो, क्योंकि I think बोस का परफॉर्मेंस जिस तरह से रहा है, you need that defensive solidarity also. And निखिल पुजारी की जगह पे शायद आप प्रीतम को लाके यहाँ पे आप कर सकते हो. But I think बैक लाइन में मैं ज्यादा चेंज नहीं करना चाहूंगा. I will continue with that back line, and midfield में आप ये एक ऑप्शन को चूज कर सकते हो मेरे हिसाब से.
Arnava, Manveer keeps his place for the next one.
See, the point with Manveer is that Manveer adds that physicality. But you saw today that he was defensively exposed, which is a little surprising, because he's played under Juan Fernando in a sort of a 3-5-2 system. So where he was the guy running up and down. But it shows that the standard that you face in the ISL and the standard you face in the AFC Cup is different to what you face today in the AFC Asian Cup, right? And I think that's the thing. Hiren has rightly mentioned Nikhil Pujari, because Nikhil Pujari is not a natural right back. He's more of a right attacking winger. So that's why he was also, and this was a very weird combo with Pujari and with Manveer playing on the same line towards the end. And Craig Goodwin was sort of playing circles around those guys, and the ball was, or Irvin was coming to that side, because Irvin was realizing that was a weak link. They were attacking the other side in the first half. They were actually trying to attack Shubhashish Bose and Changte more, where initially Changte and Bose were actually causing problems for the Aussies on the right? And that is what they shifted. Sort of, they said, listen, okay, and they were playing those cross balls across to Goodwin and to Bose later on, and this was it's a difficult one, because again they gave everything, but the question is, what do you need to do to first stop Uzbekistan? And if you want to cause an upset, what is your attacking intent? Because in the second 45, it was all defense. It was, we're trying to avoid a defeat. You saw that in the first minute, first 60 seconds. That was my feeling. It's like Australia directly, bam, they wanted to go, bam, bam, bam. They were trying to create something. And we were like, okay, how do we survive this? And that is something which I felt was a little worrying, I would say, that second half.
Yeah, yep. Surya saying we lack in midfield. Backline was solid. Is there anything more that the midfielders could have done? Because it didn't feel like they did much wrong.
नहीं I think नहीं कर सकते थे आप, क्योंकि बॉल ही आपके पास कम था, and I think जिस तरह की इंटेंसिटी और प्रेशर ऑस्ट्रेलिया बना रही थी, your midfield can't do anything much.
I think the midfield, if you're asking them to create, again, the coach has been talking about possession football, about creating things. These kind of matches, your defensive shape is more important. I think that is the the biggest difference, so to say, when what we've been playing in 2023, whoever we've been playing in 23, we've
Yeah.
played a side in a competition away from home. Uh, uh, um, uh, you know, that is something which I feel is something which is important. But we need to find solutions in regard to how we can at least worry the opponent, where the Australians play a back pass and Matthew Ryan sort of is running after the ball, but is not really worried because nobody is sort of even close to try and put pressure on the goalkeeper, because we're so far in our own half that we didn't have an access to actually create pressure. And
Yeah.
um, the midfield today was intent on defending. The midfield was not there to try and create. And that is the challenge of, okay, listen, I am taking care of my defensive unit, but I am at least create, let's say, even 2-3 opportunities for my wingers or for my strikers to do something.
Yeah. Yep. Uzbekistan, Syria, Santosh. Yes, you can watch it on Geo TV. It will be there. Game starting in about 45 minutes. It's one for us to keep an eye on as well to see what threat this Uzbek side will bring, and if Syria sort of can spring a surprise. Hiren, if what are you expecting from this game? Because it's just 45 minutes away. What sort of contest are you expecting here?
I think it will be a very close match. I don't see कि Syria will, you can say कि completely outplayed by Uzbekistan. I think Syria has also some very good players. So I'm expecting कि भाई अच्छी fight वो देंगे maybe. And but as a Indians अगर देखें तो आपको obviously भाई सीरिया को अगर उज़्बेकिस्तान फेस कर देती है, so कहीं ना कहीं हमारे लिए यूजफुल हो जाएगा in terms of the GD and all of that. तो ठीक है वो पुट अप असाइड, आई थिंक इट विल बी इंटरेस्टिंग. फिजिकल बैटल में ज्यादा एक्सपेक्ट कर रहा हूँ यहाँ पे. एंड सीरिया के पास भी ऐसे प्लेयर है कि जो साउथ अमेरिकन यूरोपियन लीग में खेल रहे हैं, सो टेक्निकलिटी वाइज दे हैव ए वेरी गुड प्लेयर. So I'm expecting a little bit a good fight from them against Uzbekistan, but I think obviously Uzbekistan are the favorites.
Yeah. Anova, what are you expecting from this one?
Uh, uh, uh,
Yeah,
नहीं नहीं
बोलो
sorry
धीरज.
sorry नहीं 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 continue sir.
I think it's going to be interesting to see if and how Uzbekistan get into the tournament. How Syria integrates their overseas players from Europe and from South America into the squad. There's a lot of international inexperience, but these are sort of the basics are there. And then that is something. Yeah, it's something which is there, and I again, Uzbekistan I feel is most probably stronger than Australia. Looking at what Australia played today, Australia clearly showed that they lacked the finishing up front. I think that was our saving grace, and that's the question. Uzbekistan is missing their best player, but Uzbekistan has options. And that's going to be very, very interesting to see how they play against Syria. And Syria has played in the final round of the World Cup qualifiers last time around. So they do have that experience of those final round matches. So therefore, I think it's going to be an interesting game. But I would think that Uzbekistan will win this game.
Yep, fair enough. Yeah, Hiren, you were saying something?
नहीं नहीं वो एक तो सक्सेस जोन भाई कुछ बोल रहे थे भाई. वो ऑफ कैमरा सब भी वो सही वो सच ही बोलते हैं. ऑन कैमरा भाई व्यूज के लिए बोलना पड़ता है, क्या कर सकते हैं यूट्यूबर्स के लिए. तो ठीक है भाई, वो जाने दो.
Okay. Okay, Shaq, this is nice sort of note to sort of leave us as well. How India played in the first 15 minutes, we need more of that. Absolutely. And that's sort of, I hope, what India can produce against Uzbekistan. A little more of that, be a little more of a threat, and hopefully we can get a few positive results out of this AFC Asian Cup, and that's the hope, guys. Thanks, Hiren. Thanks, Arnava. Guys, unfortunate today. Not unfortunate, but I mean, it is what it is. 2-0 against Australia. So, yeah, we take it and we move on and on to the next one, guys. Thanks, everyone. Please do like and share these videos. Subscribe to the channels Unfoot, Sports Khabri, and Curious Harry. And yeah, we'll be back. Good night.
गुड नाइट गाइस।